As I mentioned, of course, that you heard me talking about those polls. Let me also show you these delegate maps, which are starting to really shift. You got a new set of swing state polls out, which show that Trump is either tied or leading in 5 critical states. Let's go through them here. In Florida, he's now tied with Hillary Clinton. In North Carolina, he's ahead. In Ohio, he's ahead. You go right on down the list there. Now, let's see if we can we bring, there we go. Iowa, Arizona, he's actually up 4 points. This was a state that was initially thought to be going for Hillary Clinton. And let's move on here to the path towards electoral votes. You know, people said he's got no path. It can't happen. He needs 270. It's never going to happen. Well, here you go. If he were to add to what Romney got, 198, if he were to take Iowa, Nevada, Ohio, North Carolina, Florida, and Maine, then he actually could be the president of the United States. Maine is potentially a toughie for him. I want to go right now to pollster Kristen Soltis Anderson, a columnist for the Washington Examiner, for more insight into some of these swing states. Fascinating to see. I mean, I think that there's a correlation that could be made, Kristen, and you tell me, between the economic challenges some of these states are facing and the sudden surge now in Donald Trump's numbers.
Well, I think Donald Trump's had a pretty good week or two at the same time that Hillary Clinton has started to look like much less of a sure bet. If you're a voter who sort of views both of these candidates as someone you're not necessarily a fan of, and we know that they both have pretty high unfavorables, the fact that the last week has been so bad for Hillary Clinton could certainly be tipping more and more people into Trump's camp, which is making him look a whole lot better and making his path to 270 a whole lot more plausible than it was 2 weeks ago.
Just to go through some of those states again, we saw that places like Maine, Nevada, Ohio, Florida, these are critical for him, some of which he's actually started to push ahead in. Tell me about Maine. What does he need to do in Maine?
Well, so Maine is interesting because I believe Maine is one of those states where you also have some of the delegates are apportioned by congressional district. So it may not even be about winning all of Maine. It may be just about picking up one delegate there. In Nebraska, same sort of thing. You can pick up one congressional district there. And given the way this race is shaking out, I mean, it is feasible. You can put together a map that, oddly enough, gets them both to 269, which would send the race to the House of Representatives. So this could be a really crazy race ahead of us.
Wow. Well, that would certainly add some more drama to it all. New Hampshire as well is a state where recently he has seen some polling success, and he could pick up a few more votes there. I guess my question for you is, why all of a sudden now? Why is this shifting? Why is it changing?
I think it has a lot to do with this voter anxiety question. That a few weeks ago, polling came out that showed you had 7 out of 10 voters who said they were anxious about the idea of Donald Trump as president, slightly fewer anxious about the idea of Hillary Clinton as president. But if you've got all of these stories about sort of the lack of transparency, if you've got the health issue that's bubbled up, people asking for more information on that front, suddenly this contest between someone who seems like more of a sure bet and someone who seems like a bit more of a risk, suddenly that risk starts looking a little more appealing if they're both risky. But Donald Trump also comes with a side of really blowing up the status quo when he's in office.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it scares some people, right? This idea that, you're going to have someone in there who's an outlier, who is going to challenge the system in a way that really we haven't seen the system challenged. But at the same time, it also excites people. And so, as we watch Hillary Clinton today, Kristen, out there on the campaign trail, really trying to push this image of Trump as crazy with the whole birtherism thing, it's most likely an appeal really to voters, independent voters, to say, hey, I'm the sane one. I'm the one who's going to keep the status quo, and that's a good thing. So I guess at the end of the day, it just comes down to whether people are willing to take a chance.
I think it is whether people are willing to take a chance. And I think things that Donald Trump has done over the last 2 weeks, for instance, that trip to Mexico where, people debated how successful it was, but certainly if prior to that, you couldn't have closed your eyes and imagined Donald Trump as president. Once that trip happened, maybe there were some folks for whom that was easier to picture.
Wow.
And frankly, you know, with Make America Great Again, there are lots of folks who can close their eyes and picture what that means. Some like what that means, some don't like what that means. But with Hillary Clinton, with Stronger Together as her message, it's unclear what that means for the average American. It's harder to close your eyes and imagine what Hillary's America looks like.
Yeah, no,
that may be a risk.
It is so important. Thank you so much, Kristen. It's good to see you.
Thank you.